Welcome to clubakwaaba on MuntuNaBantu digital narrowcast. The thoughts, views, opinions expressed by the host of this narrowcast are for educational purposes only and may at times become entertaining or nonetheless serious in nature due to the topics we select and cover. We are not exposing, revealing, indicting, or telling you anything other than what's already reported by the big budget mainstream media. We look to shine the light of Baba Mungu by exposing what is done in darkness to light. Enjoy the narrowcast.
Welcome, 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 family. This is your brother SilverbackKONGO.
And this is Jade Phoenix Rising.
Welcome back, family. Welcome back.
Yes.
Yeah, it's another one, huh?
Mm-hmm. Yes, we have another one. Yes, our topics are so hot.
Yeah.
Even my phone is too hot to handle. You know, honestly, Silverback, I'm
Uh-huh.
telling you, everything in the media, because I hate to admit this, okay? If anyone who's listened to our Narrowcast, you know how I occasionally have my jabs at the Trump and his administration. But I gotta say,
Mm.
on this particular topic, he was right. And this is
Mm.
the first time I'm actually admitting in person that I actually agree with him on something.
Mm.
And yeah, it just took a little bit of paying attention to, because I think we have so many different focuses and crises and things that want our personal immediate attention, and then the rest becomes noise. But
Mm-hmm.
it's not until that noise enters your backyard or your front yard, and if you don't have a yard, at least your neighborhood, that you realize that this is what he was talking about. So, family, I hope this statement piques your interest. I want you to pay attention and find out what hot topic we're talking about today and why we need to pay attention.
Yes. Yes. And the topic of the day today is
Drum roll, please.
We're getting there. We're getting there.
Yeah, I know. Bootleg sound effects.
You're getting there. We're gonna get there. The topic of the day is the swift replacement of the African American class and vote. Okay, so we are this is an election year. So
yes, it is.
As anytime you have an election year, you're gonna have a lot of disruptions. And we're going to talk about those. We're going to talk about the disruption that's taking place right now. And if you don't already know, family, if you are living under a rock, this topic is going to sound strange to you. However, if you're living in the world that Jade and I are living in, we can see the writing on the wall. Right, Jade?
Yes, and I'm considering myself to be someone who's actually polishing those glasses so I can see a little bit better, because being nearsighted is the issue. If we only look at things that we can see and we're not paying attention what's beyond us, then when it comes to us, then we can see. So I would consider myself someone who is adjusting my eyes to pay attention to the things that I was not paying attention to before. Yes.
Yes, yes. And
Yes.
I'm hearing a little bit of background there. Did you still got me on the speaker, Jade, or we are?
Oh, no, not at all.
Oh, okay. Then
It's probably just background.
All right, family. So today's topic, family, like I said, is the swift replacement of our brothers and sisters. And that's including, so when I say it African American, I'm talking about the majority of Black Africans that are in America are the native brothers and sisters. All right. And then comes the West Indian brothers and sisters, and it comes the Africans directly from the continent. All right. So they always see, however, when they are dealing with us, they like to divide that. Okay. Remember, the tactic is to divide and conquer. So when they're dealing with us, they'll say, oh, they'll say, oh, they've got the new term now. The term is the black and brown, okay? The black and brown coalition, right? So let's just package them all together. Let's call some of them are black and some of them are brown and some of them are whatever color. It may sound sophisticated, but is outright demonic. Okay, because we don't say the European, and we don't even have a term for them. You see what I'm saying?
True.
They get to name us while we don't get to do it to them. So
yeah, they don't say white, pink, tan.
Exactly.
Off-white.
You see?
Yeah.
Because it sounds stupid when you hear it like that. It sounds it's degrading. All right, it's degrading, and I used to have a friend. She always told me it's how you say it, Severin. It's how you say it, right? So basically, it's how you spoon feed people. It's how you sound. If you sound mean, no one is gonna want to listen to you. But if you sound very, very nice, and if you say it with a smile, if you come across, very pleasant, if you don't just, if you don't be mean, all All right. So we have a sensitive, it's almost childlike type of entities that we're dealing with. You're dealing with people who are very, very sensitive, rightly so. Okay. They know their demise and they're always on guard. So Black people, you also have to be on guard because their demise is also your demise because they are going out of their way to build systems that's going to eliminate you. Literally, it's going to kill you and eradicate you. All right? They're using food to destroy you. They're using their politics to destroy you. Okay? They're using the science to destroy you. They're building robots. They're doing everything to eradicate you. And now I'm speaking for those, as my brother Jason Black would say, the kids in the back, in the back row, okay, in the back of the room, the kids who are hard of hearing,
True.
okay, people who are very, very hard-headed, and when you point out certain things that's detrimental to them, they don't seem to see it. And then they look at you as if you're dumb. They'll call you stuff like, "Oh man, you're full of conspiracy theories," as if they are smart, but yet they're dumb. And that's what we have. And these are the niggers that are what I would call Judases, because they don't get to see their demise. In fact, they think if they get you out of the way and they go to Massa and they tell their Massa what you're planning, that it'll be all right for them. Not knowing that once the Massa's done with them, if you watch any of them, you learn in the cartoons. If you ever seen, did you used to watch He-Man, these cartoon characters?
Yes, like they have the Marvel and they have so many different types of superhero type of cartoons. Yes.
Yeah.
As well as Looney Tunes and
yes,
some of the Disney.
Even in their cartoons, they will show you once the enemy, the evil character uses an agent or a conspirator. Once he's finishing using them, then they turn on them and they delete them. They remove them. Right? Even a child, it's just common sense. If a person is doing wickedness, they're going to turn around and come and do wickedness towards you as well. It's like that saying. Was it not a saying? It was a tale where the crab told the frog, "Hey, get me to the other side of the pond." And the frog says, "I ain't stupid. You're gonna sting me, right?" And the crab convinces the frog, "Yeah, no, he's not gonna sting. It's not gonna sting him. It's not gonna sting him." And then midway, when they get close to the other side, the crab stings the frog and the frog says, I thought you said you're not gonna sting me." And the crab says, You knew who I am. You knew my nature." When the frog is dying. Now the frog is gullible. And there are a lot of gullible people in this world. Okay? We've got a lot of stupid niggers who just don't see their demise. Yeah.
Wow.
It's angering me. It angers me, Jade. I get angry every time because it's the same people all the time. Okay? And after this debate, you've got to be able to decide what the people around you. Remember, Jade, within our community, we always have traitors. They don't have traitors in their community. You know why they don't have traitors in their community?
Because they all are, well, I can't say all, but many are so complicit or comfortable because the system benefits them.
Well, that's the you're looking at it from the outcome, like the current day. Okay? Back in the day when a white man betrayed the other people, they cut his head off. And then they will make an example out of this person. You see, this is the history that our people don't know. That when they created a system, a racist system, they always made an example of those who betrayed them. Okay? This is the history that we need to learn about. Because what's coming for black people is that there's going to be examples made out of traitors, the Judases, the cowards. Okay? In a system, when you create a system, there's going to be punishment for those who break who don't go according to the system.
Okay, great. Silverback, just for the context of today's show, let's reel it back and remember, we're going to start off with a quote of the day and kind of guide our listeners who are just tuning in, perhaps for the first time, to understand what today's topic is. And for those who are joining us again and are in understanding and agreement with what Silverback has shared, yes, unfortunately, there are multi-level systems that exist that are designed to oppress, eradicate, and destroy the Black families and peoples around the globe, not necessarily just America. And the systematic approach is in plain sight, but individually, perhaps, maybe many who are not aware of the system are experiencing it, but not looking at it from a big picture, or perhaps are putting two and two together in terms of the history of slavery and how it's manifested and resurfaced itself in systems, not necessarily the traditional picking cotton ways, but other ways of oppression. So for those who are tuning in and are just heard an earful, understand that we've covered several layers of types of oppression that's impacted African American communities. And for those who are not fully keen and aware, maybe feeling and experiencing the oppression, but have not looked at it from a bigger picture, and also understanding the roots of what it is and the plan that is in place to destroy us as a whole. Okay, so thank you for joining us. We have a message about the immigration and the migration crisis that we're experiencing here in America, but our title is called The Great Replacement because there is a plan to replace the African Americans and the voters in this country. There's a reason for it, and we're going to share about it today. Thank you.
Okay, Jade. Thank you. Thank you for reining me back in. And
Yes.
yes, Jade, it's unfortunate, Jade. Like, I'm one of those people where you're not gonna get me off my a square, as they would say, right? Because it's this is life and death for many people, right?
Yes, it is.
Because when Hitler came into power, it wasn't like just it was a ramping up of judgment on the people that they were putting in their gas chambers. You understand? So
Yeah.
we have to learn history. We have to understand history, right? Because what happens with most people is that they don't get the nuance. They don't get the nuance of history. They don't get the it's all about the small bits and pieces that make up the whole entire history. All right. So with the history, our history as a people, what happens is when you don't know the full detail, you're going to how do you say, dismiss the account. Okay, and this what happens. They have a way of changing the narrative because people don't know the small details. They don't know the small details. So whenever the enemy goes out and rewrites history right in front of you, right in front of the people, they're rewriting history. Right now, as we are here, right here in America, they are rewriting history in front of our people. So when we talk and we talk lightly and we don't get down to the nitty-gritty, we don't really give full account of what's taking place, what took place in our history, it can become, hearsay. You know, when they start throwing words like, oh yeah, that's just a critical race theory, right? And they have to take it back because you don't hear it anymore, right? Because guess what? They're always testing our people. Are they still asleep? They'll say this. Yes. They'll do that. They'll do this.
And of course we know that many are, because social media is a great way of distracting people. Music is a great way of distracting people. With all these apps, people are just funneling a majority of their time on social media. So there is a great distraction that is in play apart from, the narratives that are being created and presented and packaged and marketed and promoted. It's just a more false history, as Trump would say, fake news. Again, his words true. Fake news. It's a lot of fake news, and it's presented to us in books as well as in the media. And because it's repeated so much, it's looked at as true because it's written and it's presented and it has a timestamp on it and it has a noteworthy news company broadcast channel. And you're like, oh, CNN said it, so it has to be true. Oh, the BBC wrote this. BBC wrote this article, so it has to be true. And we deem these things as truth because of the source that we're reading it from, but never really delving into the facts as is without commentary. And so it's going to take us really delving deep and saying, you know what, there's a lot of a lot of hype about this topic, and a lot is being said, but what isn't being said? Let me analyze this for myself and come to find out the truth by not just relying on one source, but look at different perspectives, do the research yourself, and as Silverback said, pay attention to history, because history does repeat itself, but it also resurfaces and is remanifested in a different light.
Yeah, I think Jade, let me go ahead and do the quote of the day, and then we're gonna resume the conversation. Today, I just would like for us to have a conversation. Okay, we don't have to necessarily give you quote unquote facts. We don't have to give you a citation as to where we got this information. It is up to you. Like, it's up to you, because we're speaking. Jade, I'm speaking to those who are hard-headed. Okay, I'm not speaking to people that I know. No, I'm speaking to those who come across this particular video and they've never seen us before. and they're hard-headed, and specifically, and this is a narrowcast, specifically for the melanated people. If you don't know what melanated is, for the Negro, okay? I'm speaking specifically for those who have a propensity to kowtow, to allow the status quo that's been taking place for years. What am I talking about? We're going to talk about it in detail in a few minutes. Okay? Because we allow things to just go along. You are participating in a system that has of yet put laws in place that benefit exclusively you. Why? Because other classes have benefits in this system. They pay the taxes, and in return, they get what is due to them. Okay? For those of you who are hard-headed, and especially, I would say, for those of you who are quote-unquote Christians, or even if you're not Christian, when the disciples came to Jesus and they say, okay, they're asking to pay the taxes, right? What was the scripture? Let's look up that scripture. We're gonna look it up. Okay, we'll look it up. Let me see. It just came to mind. I gotta look it up.
Sure.
Wow. Okay. Go ahead, Jade, while I look it up, because it's a very, very important scripture. It's always people are confused whenever they see that scripture. But go ahead, Jade.
Okay, so what would you like me to share?
1 second.
Well, I can talk about Title 42. I can introduce that.
Yeah, go ahead. Go right ahead.
Okay. All right, listeners. In talking about the Great Replacement, and the reason why this topic is hot and very, very serious is because at face value, when we turn on the news has this tendency to make the influx of immigrants coming into this country, or should I say illegal migrants coming into America, as a crisis. Like, oh, look what just coming in here, and they've come to, arrive and take our jobs and take our just basically come and coast their way in. And to many, that perspective is true. But the fact that it's happening, as quoted, and this is just a rough estimate because honestly, I don't think they're really tallying them accurately. 1,000 people flooding in daily through the borders. And
can you repeat that? Can you repeat that again, Jade? You say
10,000. According to some of the sources that I've read, that it's a rough estimate of 10,000 to 24,000 people flooding in the high 20s, flooding in daily in the U.S. And when there was Title 42, and I'm going to explain what it is, when it was in place, Trump himself was very firm with upholding Title 42. But at the time, it was in social media a joke because he kept talking about the wall, and people were like, oh, who's going to build the wall? And it isn't a funny thing when you think about what happens if you don't maintain security, if you don't maintain border control because of what is entering the country. Okay, so Title 42, what is it? Okay. Dating back to 1944, there was a law called the Public Health Act, and this was granted in America to be used as an emergency tactic to prevent the spread of disease. Now, we know when we have customs, whenever we travel, we're not allowed to bring certain fruits and plants into a country. Well, in this case, Title 42 is about people entering a country that perhaps are not vaccinated and perhaps they might bring disease into our country. Okay? So this this law that was in place in 1944 was set up mostly for public health reasons. But since the pandemic happened, this was enforced heavily, or at least initiated to be upheld again for the purposes of not spreading COVID, even though COVID was here already.
Mm-hmm.
They just didn't want any more. They, use this as maintaining, unless let's at least maintain our borders, because we would have to screen everybody before they came in. And with illegals coming in as they are,
Mm-hmm.
it's just impossible to get all of them, before they reach our borders and have, flooded into towns and cities or live with neighbors or wherever they live. And I'm not saying this to be rude, but the truth is they're crossing in through an underground situation. So so this was upheld, and Title 42 was in place so that the U.S. authorities would remove the migrants that have crossed the border from Mexico and, and send them back. But since when Title 42 was in place, there was an estimate of 2.8 million people being expelled back to Mexico um, by the U.S. Customs and Border Protection. So that's a lot of people, 2.8 million during the pandemic to send back. I can't even fathom that number, honestly. Thousands, yes, millions, that's crazy. So, but since then, as we know, the pandemic, according to the CDC, in April 2022, the Centers of Disease Control had stated that COVID is not a high risk threat level anymore, and the Title 42 law is now being relaxed. In other words, it expired. There's no need to say that there's an imminent threat of COVID coming in from the migrants. So we can't use this law as a means of saying you can't come in because, according to Title 42, you're going to put our country at risk. They can't wave that flag. So people are like, okay, well, Title 42 is not being upheld, therefore, and you fill in the blank. Therefore, the floodgates reopened again. This is kind of like a faucet that never stopped dripping. Okay, so the floodgates are open again, and people are like, okay, well, we can come, right? Now, what is baffling to me, because I, will admit that I have not been paying attention because it wasn't something that was so obvious in my backyard until it came to my backyard, um, that this crisis, as they call it, is not just a crisis, but it's also a planned crisis.
Exactly.
Because what do you do when they just flood in willy-nilly? Like, I'm talking, woohoo, like this, this is the greatest marathon ever. In all due respect, people, seriously, and this is one American saying this to the fellow Americans. Can you imagine us fleeing America just to Canada in the way they've came in here? Can we actually crash through the borders of Canada by the thousands daily and not expect a pushback? Not so. Can Africans in Africa flood through Europe in droves like this daily and not expect some kind of slaughter.
Yeah, they've done that. They show that. I don't know if you remember, but there was a group of Sudanese kids who were trying to go through, was it Morocco or Egypt, one of these Arab nations. And these Arab nations, again, they are the buffer class for these European nations. Okay, so they didn't want them to go through them to get to France, and they literally shot. Literally, it was not in the, it wasn't in the media. They literally shot these kids. They opened fire on them. Okay, and then the puppet presidents, African presidents, said nothing. They didn't do anything. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This is what I say, a coward. This is the rage that I display, because we can't sit around and be like, oh, just oh yeah, like nothing's happening. Okay, that's cowards. But go ahead, continue.
Yeah. So there is a reality that nowhere in the world can people of color, meaning Africans, flood through anybody's territories and or countries without there being a major slaughter. It's like it doesn't even, like, tear gas, machine guns, army, I mean, the whole shebang, right? But for some reason, it's like, wait till you hear how the Mexicans and the South Americans are being treated once they threw their children over the wall, once they've, they send the kids ahead of the parents and or entered by the droves, like what kind of treatment they get. Now, of course, there's been, some speculation that the jail camps are not comfortable. So how could you say that they're being treated nicely and all? But no, there's again, plans in place, and it just is systematically being presented and packaged and released so that they can come in to serve a purpose. Okay? So we're going to get into it. We're going to talk about why one perspective is this is a crisis because it looks like they're just fleeing and seeking asylum. And then there's the other perspective of how they are received and processed in this country at the rate that they're doing it. Okay? So, of course, it comes at our expense, but we're going to find out what is that expense. Okay? Not just financial. Okay? So let's continue.
Yes. So, family, for our commercial break, today's quote of the day. Okay, let me get to the quote of the day. Give me a second, family. I know that, quote of the day. The quote of the day is, some of you read it already. It is, I can learn from my mistakes. All right, actually, let me give you guys a visual. Let me give you guys a visual here. Let me give you a visual. All right. I can learn from my mistakes. I can improve by working hard. I will never give up. I am determined to do my best. Self-reflection helps me succeed. I can overcome challenges with effort. I can train my brain. Well, it sounds a little bit off, but it all spells, what's the word again, Jade? When you put all words together?
It's called acronym.
Acronym. It's an acronym. That's correct. All right. So M for mistakes, I for improvement, N, never give up, D for determined, S for self-reflection, E for effort, and T to train. All right? And when it's combined, it comes to mindset. All right, family. So as a collective, as a people collectively, we should learn from our past history. Okay? We should learn from our past history so that we don't make the same mistakes. All right? We can improve from our past, from yesterday to today. You should be able to improve every day. Set your mind to improve every day. All right? You should never give up, because we were designed to never give up. In fact, we were designed to be indestructible. I can hear you, Jade.
I'm so sorry.
We were designed to
Look,
be.
I can breathe through my nose and my mouth.
I can hear you. All right.
So I'm sorry.
Yeah. And D, you should be determined to always do your best. Again, we were designed by our Father to be the best version of ourselves. In fact, when Yissayahkongo told his disciples that they would do greater things than he, it tells you that the Father designed us to evolve as beings. Okay? We don't remain the same. And then as for self-reflection, okay, helps me to succeed. So if you don't reflect on the decisions that you make, all right, on the decisions that you make daily, you can't move forward. Because when you reflect, you can see whether you did things right or you failed. And failure is not determined. Failure is not for you to remain the same. Failure is for you to examine. When you fail, you should be able to examine the mistakes that you've made so that you can progress, you can move forward. All right?
Mm-hmm.
And then E for effort. I can overcome challenges with effort. That is very true. We were designed, we're victorious already. But you have to know that, right? Okay? The last one is train. I can train my brain. So you have to know that your efforts, right? With your efforts, you have to know that if you train yourself, then your efforts would seem how do you say it? Effortless. Okay? So you have to train the brain. We are beings that, again, the Father made us to have dominion. So we have a one-up on the enemy. The Father told us that we have dominion over the land, over this dimension, over nature. If you don't know that, then you will be subdued. You will be imprisoned. Okay? Because your mind was designed to what? Elevate. To overcome any situation. So go right ahead, family. Go out there and get yourself this t-shirt. Get a hard copy of it. Get a hard copy of the words of the affirmation so that it permeates through your mind. All right, family. We're going to get back to the topic.
At this time, I'm going to share an article because, again, I like my perspective. I'm sharing my perspective. Remember, everything we're sharing today is opinions. There are some facts in there, but we encourage you to do your research and get a bigger picture for yourself to understand how this is, what is occurring around you and how it impacts you. Okay? So yes.
Before you go to the script, to the article, Jade, I would like to ask a question.
Sure.
Which ethnic group is moving out of your neighborhood?
Nobody, really.
Nobody.
I
Okay.
mean, during the pandemic, we had seen an uptick of people moving out of the city, but they were people who could afford to move. And these are the people who had their summer houses, their second houses, their rental properties, and they did their social distancing by leaving the city where it's mostly dense and populated to go live, like, for example, like Pennsylvania or Connecticut, some house that they rent, like the Poconos, for example.
Mm-hmm.
And others that have moved out only was because of financial issues, like, people who've lost their homes because they couldn't pay rent or something like that. But in essence, some people who could afford to move, it was a temporary, and the rest was circumstantial only if they faced eviction. But
Mm-hmm.
willingly, I don't think so. We didn't have like uh, uh, um, a mass exodus because of any other reason other than it being related to COVID.
Yeah. Well, I asked that question. We have that question up there for because it correlates. It correlates
Hmm.
with the story that you're going to read. But go ahead.
Yes. So, so in terms of adjusting our eyes to seeing and understanding the so-called crisis, and I'm going to put that in quotes,
Mm-hmm.
crisis, there are different perspectives on this issue. What we see thousands of migrants coming in with the children on their shoulders and carrying and dragging a bag of clothes or food or whatever their whatever belongings they have. And then there's also the Democrats and the Republican um, feelings and rhetoric and complaints about Title 42 and how Biden is not doing a good job and perhaps Trump was doing better, or maybe going as way back as introducing this as starting with Obama. Now, the article I'm going to share is it's an opinion page. This is from liberalfirst.com, and the writer, his name is Larry Phillips, and um, he writes about the perspective of how these illegal immigrants is actually a plan that the Democrats have made to replace black votes. Now, you're like, wait a minute, did I just say voting? Like, what does that have to do with migrants crossing the borders? Let's listen to this article and hear how he is, painting this picture to help us understand how the migrants crossing the border could affect or impact voting. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
According to Larry Phillips, Kismet, his article is states an analysis conducted by the Migration Policy Institute estimates that about 2.5 million illegal aliens considered eligible for former President Obama's DACA program and another 400,000 foreign nationals on temporary protected status, TPS, would be put on a path to obtaining green cards and American citizenship thanks to a Biden plan. The Democrats' H.R. 6 bill, which I never heard of until I read this article, the Democrats' H.R. 6 bill, known as the American Dream and Promise Act of 2021, would provide amnesty to millions of illegal aliens, allowing them to legally enter the U.S. labor market as as migrant workers. Okay, so right now, as I'm reading the article, we just heard that there was a plan in place. This is not a crisis. There was a plan according to the DACA plan and the American Dream plan that they were going to provide amnesty and asylum and benefits and the alien card. And it was like, come and get it. basically just cross over, come and get it. So why should we be surprised that they're coming in by the millions?
Mm-hmm.
It's not like there was a forest fire in their village. It's not like, you know, that there were, of course, yes, we know that there's drug cartels. Yes, we understand that there's poverty. What country doesn't have poverty? Yes, we understand that um, there are people and families that are in need of financial support and housing. What country doesn't need that? There's poverty is in every country. Okay, even in America, yes, the land of milk and honey, as they think. Okay, so they're coming in because there was a promise in place and it was approved in 2021.
Mm-hmm.
2021, that's not that long ago. So we're hearing about Title 42, but in reality, their their green card is ready and waiting for them to come and get it. Okay, and with that education, with that benefits. Okay, and that's just the surface of what's being offered to them. Okay, so I will continue. So what happened is that the people came in by the millions for those benefits because they heard about it, and this bill to provide amnesty is for all illegals in the country to receive it, not some. Okay, so this whole, oh, Title 42 is over, let's try to send them back, is a front, because in reality, there is benefits for them to come and get. Okay, so we have to put up a little fight to show that you know that we're protecting our borders, when in reality it looks like we're bipolar. Come and get it, but oh, you crossed here illegally, but you said we could come, and it doesn't make sense. So here the bill was passed to provide all illegals in this country, which are estimated now up to 30 million people. So imagine making that many new citizens immediately. So once they come in, they're already approved amnesty, but they have to go through the process of getting everything. But they cross here so-called illegally. Okay? What we understood as illegal is not really so, because amnesty was promised and they came to come and get it. Okay? And so he says, I mocked Biden's immigration plans in a recent a column where I imagined that it was 3.5 years in the future, and I guess 36 million illegals would be allowed to jump the line under Biden's border agenda then, and all getting free transportation to wherever they wanted to go. So he imagined it, but it actually happened. What happened in Texas? Didn't they just bus the migrants all over the US, mainly in New York, and just send them daily? Isn't that right, Silverback?
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
But they
So,
sent, but they refused a specific demographic of people, right? They didn't allow a specific demographic to come into the states, while they allowed two other demographics of people from Afghanistan and some and the people from South America, okay, that they allowed from, I think was from Venezuela, okay. So they allowed two other demographic, while the blacks from Haiti were coming in. They literally refused them. They told them to return back to their homeland. So they're taking white face foreigners, and black face foreigners were refused. So you do the math. You conclude, okay? Again, I personally today, Jade, I'm talking for the hard-headed kids in the back of the classroom, because we have a lot of that in our community. Okay? And those hard-headed people in the back of the classroom are the Black Caucus. These are the niggas that don't do nothing. They don't speak up. But you go ahead. Go ahead, Jade.
Yes. So I'm just going to skim through the article because, again, this is commentary and it's opinion based. But in of itself, the numbers are true, at least estimated. Okay. So if they're coming in and 30 million are approved to get their alien cards, their green cards, and immediately become citizens, people who have tried to come into the US and do it the right way, I'm going to put that in quotes, the right way, they had to be nationalized. I mean, the process of filling out paperwork, they had to be screened. There's no careful screening here. It's like floodgates. They're being processed so quickly. They're being thrown on buses. They're being flown in on planes, all expense at our expense, paid, and shipped all over the US with the promise of getting housing, food, school for the kids, clothing benefits, food benefits, everything that would take a normal American, working class American, months to get. They are getting it immediately, okay, at breakneck speed. So in the article, he said, why would America do this? Why would it allow people to come by the millions in this way? What is it? What is the goal here? He himself is trying to understand. And what he came to realize, that this is about power. He said, if you bring in migrants by the millions, it basically is creating an influx of what they would consider to be more minorities. He said this is making our country to be more like a third world country because the population is increasing with more poor people. Okay? And so he said, but why would America subject itself to bringing itself to that level? And his theory, it's about power. And he also understands that this, politically speaking, can affect our voting because the people who are coming in are also given the rights to vote. Now, Silverback, can you tell me a little bit about the regular way? Our we had recently talked about voting in America. Who is not traditionally able to not vote? Can you explain that?
Yeah. Anyone who's in jail cannot vote.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at the what clause was that? It was the 13th Amendment. Pretty much nullifies you as an individual who is basically what it says is if you are in jail, you revert back to being a slave, because the 13th Amendment was put in place to punish the slave, to punish the slave instead of the slave master. Okay, so when our brothers and sisters were given the freedom, right? Again, and this is how the enemy operates. Okay, so whenever he writes a law, he always put a little clause in there, a little loophole that he can always revert back to punish you. Okay, so that's what it is. Basically, those who are the young, under 18 cannot vote, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yeah.
they have to be what 21 to vote, right? I'm not quite sure at what age they can
At
vote.
18, 18, 18
18
and
they can
mhm,
vote. Exactly, exactly.
mhm,
At 18 they can vote, but they can't drink alcohol. All right? They can't drink alcohol, they can't do drugs. They're not responsible. They don't have agency. Okay? They're not smart enough, but they're smart enough to vote. But they're not smart enough to not use drugs. Right? They're responsible enough to go and vote, but they're not responsible enough to do their drugs. All right? And I'm not how do you say it again? I'm not endorsing for kids to go and do drugs. What I'm saying is this, is that people have agency. Basically, what they're acknowledging is that at 18 years old, they are smart enough to vote. Okay? Because why? They pay taxes. At 18 years old, they're paying taxes because they can work and pay taxes. They contribute to society. So therefore, they should be able to vote. Right? So you notice there's layers of oppression, right? When I say layers of oppression, there are layers. Meaning they give you this, but they take away that. They give you this, they take away that. They give you this, they take away that. And whatever they're giving you, don't think that they're giving you. They're allowing you to operate, but not literally giving you. You don't have freedom. You don't have freedom in this country. Okay? You don't have freedom whatsoever. What you have is privileges. Okay? See? Privileges. Privilege is what you have. And the person that has more privilege than anyone else is a white individual. Okay? This is why they created class. But you go right ahead.
Yeah. So in terms of, if you're not a citizen, you are not given the permission to vote. So how is it that the illegal migrants are not only getting their green cards, but there's also a plan to give them the right to vote, and they didn't even become citizens legally. When I say legally, meaning they came in through the back door. They came in as an asylum seeker. So, but how are they given the rights to vote like a citizen when they're not even citizens? They're not legalized citizens.
Well, Jade.
But they're given the benefits immediately.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So again, this what we're doing here is semantics, Jade. It's semantics. It is. It's either or. Which one is it? Is there a law or there's no law? Which there is a. It seems like the law is there when they want to apply the law. You understand what I'm saying? Basically, it's so sad, man. What they're telling you, family, is that you don't have power. Okay? You don't have power. And they're being exposed. They're about to get exposed. And I don't want to be ahead of myself, but I want you to finish the article, Jade. I want you to say it, but at the end of the day, yeah, but go ahead.
Yeah, so according to his article, he says that the Democrats have noticed that the loyalties were changing in the Black vote throughout the last decade, and more Blacks were voting conservative and moving off the Democrat plantation, thinking for themselves. And that thinking was scaring the Democrats. So because of the increasingly amount of Blacks that are voting by the droves, because we've seen every year during the election that you'll see everybody and their grandmother in wheelchairs, Black, coming to vote. It's like all of a sudden they're waking up, they're paying attention, they're voting, and our votes do count. And then now it's like, okay, now that Blacks are paying attention to politics, whereas we were asleep before, now we're awake and voting. There's an issue of how our votes are swaying what they they expected us to not vote. And because we're voting and our votes do count, they're uncomfortable with it. Okay, so in order to offset that, this is me ad-libbing, but I'm going to continue. He said that he also noticed that blacks are just under 14% of the United States population, and overall, the population of blacks remains fairly level throughout the six decades of no more than 44 million today. But the socialist Democrats are grooming a whole new race, and he's calling it the La Isla Española, so to speak, by giving, that means the Spanish island, the Spanish island, by giving citizenship and voting rights to the illegal immigrants of the countries south of our border, all the way to Colombia and Argentina. So imagine coming to a town near you, Venezuela socialism enforced by the Honduran S-13 groupies while supported by the Medellin drug lords. So the socialist Dems have tired their burdensome support of blacks and are throwing them under the bus if they vote against them. So how are they going to throw the blacks under the bus? How? That idea of the La Isla Española is bring in as many migrants as possible and give them the right to vote. Because what happens after you've given them bread and clothes and shelter and schools for the kids and giving them everything they want immediately without having to earn a dime, without having to prove that you're going to be a valuable citizen in this country? You know, people who are naturalized citizens have to prove to themselves that they're not going to be a burden to this country, that they actually have some kind of value and a purpose and connections here. Like, do you have any relatives here? Any roots? You know, why they basically get screened. Why should we take you? Why should we keep you in this country? With them, it's the floodgates. So what do you think is going to happen when you open the floodgates and then give them the right to vote? That's kind of like bribery in your face. We gave you something, now it's time to vote. So this is your way of saying thank you. So the migrants, their votes are going to count, and it's going to drown out the black voters, the ones who've been here for decades, the ones who have worked blood, sweat, and tears here. It's going to be drowned out because it's how many people? They said over 30 million migrants so far and counting, coming into this country and given voting rights. So in his article, he said that that's planting seeds in their minds. So when it's time to vote, the Spanish speakers are going to speak. And that's one way that they can speak, is by casting a vote. So that's his prediction and his opinion of why the illegal immigrants are actually here to replace black votes.
Well, that sounds now. I hope you all heard that particular article. We're gonna leave a link in the description for you to go and read. But I want to speak to the kids in the front of the classroom. Okay? Didn't they say that what year did they say? 2050 something, that the Spanish population is going to be the majority? Right?
2057.
20, right? No, I don't know exactly. I think 2054, something like that. Didn't they say that the Spanish population is going to be the majority?
I actually don't have I'm not sure what date that would be, but
Yeah, no. I'm not asking specifically what date, but do you remember? Don't you remember them saying that? They've been saying this for years now. That 20-something Spanish population is gonna be it's gonna be it's gonna be the majority in America, right? Didn't they say that?
I'm sorry, I don't know. I don't.
Yes. Let me put. I'm putting up my phone right here, right now. Okay, I don't know. I don't remember specifically what year. But you can go ahead. Go ahead and do the research. Okay. They said that the Spanish population is going to be the majority. It's going to be the majority population in America. Okay, it's going to be the majority. Now, they've told you what they was going to do, Jade. It's not a natural progression. It's not natural. They told you that the Spanish population is going to be the majority, and they're making it the majority. You see, it's always been, for me, it's always been a suspicion when they say the black population is 14%. It's been 14% since the beginning. We've been the minority since the beginning. So they've used all kinds of tact to try to stop the black man, the black woman from reproducing itself, reproducing ourselves, right? They've tried to contain our population as a people. They've been killing our babies every year. You look up at the birth rates in America. These our people are the highest in birth and abortions. Okay, so they've been doing this for quite some time. Don't think that is a natural progression.
Okay, so I found an article. It's interesting because this article was written in 2015, so this is before the so-called migrant
Of course,
crisis.
this is
But it
years.
said, 2015, it said by 2050, the US
2050.
could have, by 2050, the US could have more Spanish speakers than any other country. With 41 million native speakers and 12 million bilinguals, the United States is already the second largest Spanish-speaking country in the world, according to a new report, and it already is ahead of Colombia and Spain and just behind Mexico. If we can add the 9.7 million of undocumented immigrants to the total number of Hispanics on the census, the number of potential speakers of Spanish in the United States would rise to about 62 million people. And this is just in 2015. So we don't even know what the numbers are now. But
So what do you think about that? What do you think about that, family?
It's you know what, honestly, Silverback, remember when you had said something about black and brown?
Yes, coalition, black and brown coalition.
Yes, this is more of the white and tan coalition. This is an influx of the the darker persuasion of white. So they're introducing a new influx of minorities, but they're given more privileges, or should I say, what we have and more, and also treated very differently. This is like basically almost first-class citizenship and red carpet treatment, even though they crossed through the most devastating and most treacherous ways. But once on this side of the border, it went from, creeks, rivers, lakes, valleys, deserts, to busing and being flown first class and coming in with, what they would consider manna from heaven, money coming at their disposal immediately. And Silverback, I remember I told you in one of the narrowcasts that I went shopping in a store and I was online, and it was a long line, and in front of me were migrants, and every single one of them had shopping carts filled to the brim. And when they got to the register, they pulled out wads of cash. Wads. And I'm talking, it looked like maybe $1,000 cash in their hand.
Yeah.
Not credit cards, not SNAP cards, not coupons, not gift cards. Cash. All of the migrants pulled out wads of cash, and they bought everything, brand new everything. And I was just like, wow, we're in a recession right now. We have inflation. We have people who are borderline. They're still dealing with eviction notices. And here comes the migrants with free housing, cash, medical benefits. You know, the kids are going to public and private schools and have tutors. And they're getting furniture and clothing, you name it, and cash. Now, honestly, family, I'm sorry to say this, but if you have any kind of public benefits in this country, nobody is handing you cash in your hand.
That's right.
Everything is traced on a card.
That's right.
Everything. If you want to buy an apple, you're swiping a card. If you want to get some money to get on the train, you're swiping a card.
Yeah.
And even there's a paper trail.
Exactly. Be very specific. Again, re-emphasize that, Jade. Re-emphasize that again.
Yes, there's a paper trail.
No,
everything is being monitored.
No, re-emphasize the benefit. When you receive benefit in this country, in America, go ahead. When you receive benefit.
Yes. When you receive benefits in this country.
From the government.
If you need from the government, you get what you called a SNAP card. It's basically a food card so that you can buy groceries. There's a certain allotment that you get, and you have to swipe and use those benefits, and then they'll reload it the next month if you're eligible. And it all is based on income. You don't just get it because they're being kind and nice and because they want to make sure that there's food in your belly and your children's belly. You have to prove yourself. You have to show your whole employment history, your whole education. You have to tell them everything about yourself, including whatever money you have in your pocket, physically in front of you, and whatever's in the bank.
Yes.
Even if there's nothing in the bank, you have to have certified letters to prove that you're broke before they can give you any food.
Now hold your thought. Hold your thought there for a second, Jade. Hold your thought for a second there. Now, they're giving you this money. Why are they giving this money?
Because you had to prove that you were poor.
Okay, but
you were in need.
Okay, but okay, they're giving it to qualified citizens, right? But why are they giving them that money?
Yes.
Why are they giving them that money? It's because, family, it's because you are a citizen, and a citizen has privileges. Okay? A citizen has privileges because they pay taxes.
That's right.
Okay, this is why they're giving the people, and then they go out of the way. The reason you have to show that you're not receiving any additional income is because they want to know if you're putting in the pot, you're putting your taxes, you're contributing to the system in place. Okay, this is and we gotta be clear. We gotta be clear, Jade. We're gonna be doing a lot of these classes, a lot of these social issues. Okay. Because our people, we need to wake up. A lot of our people don't understand the nuance of politics, the small details, the small stuff. Okay? A lot of grown people don't understand these concepts in the Black community. Okay? It may sound as if I'm being hard or I'm being nasty. Guess what? I'm gonna be nasty. I'm going to be nasty to people who don't want to go and look into this system that keeps oppressing you. Okay? If you don't know the laws, you're gonna be oppressed. And that's what they're and that's what they're betting on. They're betting that you would not open your eyes and go read the laws and go read your quote unquote rights as a citizen.
Mm-hmm.
But go ahead, Jade.
Yeah. So you would have to you would have to apply for these benefits and go through a whole process, and it could take 2 or 3 months. Sometimes if it's faster, maybe 1 month before you get a notice saying we received and it's under review and all of that stuff. Now, again, for Blacks, people of color who apply for benefits, the screening process is so stringent that if you answer a few questions wrong, you will be denied. And yes, you can really be in need. I'm talking your fridge could be empty. You're not lying, but because you applied and you might have said, "Oh, I have extra bills," or maybe you have some money here, but you're reserving it for, safety. Like everyone's entitled to, if you had a job to keep your and maintain your savings, you're not trying to finish and deplete all of your savings. Well, you know that you're underwater, like you're falling behind in your bills, and you're trying not to spend all your reserves. And they will find out how much you have. And if you have so-called too much, then technically you could afford to, pay your way. Whereas these people are coming with $0 to their name, as allegedly, because we don't know if they have businesses and they're just coming for extra income here,
Jade,
right?
there's no allegedly. It's they don't have the money. Okay.
Yes, but okay.
Millions of
I'm
people coming into this country. But
I'm not saying all. I'm not saying all.
I
There's
know,
some that are benefiting, having the best of both worlds.
I know.
Getting the immediate citizenship is delicious to business people. So, yeah, I mean, do business here and abroad. They're kind of smart. They're very smart. So just going back to the benefits, that's just one benefit that we would get if we applied and were eligible. Again, that's a screening process. Here, it doesn't matter what their history is, whether they've worked a day in their life, whether they have an education or not, whether they actually are going to be productive in this country. Like, what is your skill? Um, okay. So, regardless of however, we don't know what they're going to contribute to this country. We don't know if they all are mentally there too, because maybe some of them they're coming in, they could be incarcerated people. Some of them could be, people who are in gangs that are just looking for housing. Like, you don't know what their stories are. There are families, yes, and then there's other situations. But regardless, the floodgates are open and they're coming for all of these benefits, and they didn't have to prove themselves to get it. It's just make it to the other side and come and get it. It's a free for all. And according to this, going back to the census, it says, excuse me, by 2050, there's going to be over 12 million of them here. Okay, bilinguals, 40 million native speakers are already here. Okay, so this so-called new Isla Hispaniola, or maybe, I don't, this is kind of a stretch, but calling it second class whites are here.
Yeah.
Yes, they are of a darker persuasion, but the political agenda, what is this surge? What is this urgency to have them come if we don't know what they're going to contribute towards in terms of our society, in terms of the working class? Aren't we already strained with the pandemic, and there's major unemployment? Isn't there major issues in terms of resources as it is? Apparently not, if they're able to just provide this immediately to them. And the so-called let's raise the debt ceiling news that's still in the media. Raise the debt ceiling? To whom, for what, and why? At whose expense? At whose expense are we raising the debt ceiling? So the people who were born here are still bearing the burden for others. We can barely carry our own load, but
Right.
yet the floodgates are being opened and poured generously upon people we don't know are even going to contribute to this society.
Yes. Now, Jay,
Yes,
let's go for far-sighted, Jay. Let's get far-sighted for a second.
sure.
Okay? And I'm going to re-emphasize a few things. Again, the question is, remember the question I asked you, I say, which ethnic group is moving out of your neighborhood? Now, this question is specifically for Black people. Again, this is a Narrowcast. We speak specifically to Black people. All right? So the question is very, very specific. If there are people moving out, then you can bring in another group of people, correct?
Mm-hmm. True.
Right. So if there's no people moving out, it means there's still people there and there's still problems. There's still homeless people. There's still businesses that went out of business. There's still people who are trying to what? Cultivate an economy for themselves. Right? So this right here, this particular influx of immigrants, okay, illegal immigrants, okay, illegal immigrants that are coming in, they're being provided, they're being given the benefits of the citizens who are already there. Remember, the whole year of 2020, businesses went out of business. There's people who have needs. There's people, like you said, there's evictions. There's layers of problems. Why then are you bringing a group of people and then equipping them with funds that belongs to a people that's already there?
And we haven't taken care of our own.
Yes.
We haven't done our own housekeeping. We have not been taking care of what happened to the middle class, the so-called middle class, and the mom and pop shops that have closed in every state.
Yeah.
And the people who now are still facing foreclosure. It's like a slap in the face to everyone who's ever worked in this country.
Yes.
Just to see them come in. And this is not about hating foreigners. This is the fact that our country has a way of throwing all of us under the bus.
Yes.
And in particular, people of color, because we go through such strict scrutiny whenever we need something. It's like we have to beg and bleed and ask, please, could you give me something?
Right.
Whereas these people come in, yes, under harsh conditions, struggle is a struggle, poverty is poverty, yes, we understand that they had, many of them have come from poor means.
Right.
But they're using them as political puppets.
Yeah, it's a buffer class.
And showering them with so-called gifts that other people had to prove to get.
Yes. It's Jade. Again, I want to get people to have a visual, a big picture,
Yes,
because what happens is that we get stuck in the small details, right? That's confusing anyway, right? I know I said earlier that we have to know the nuance, but yes, you have to know you have to know the details in order for you to understand the totality. All right. So in this case, what I'm trying to say, family, is it was not a natural progression. What they've been telling us, in 2050, the population is Hispanics is going to grow. It's not natural. They're showing you the game. Okay. For those of you who are into sports, like I am, I'm very much into sports. For those of you who are very much into entertainment, like I am, I'm very much into entertainment. I entertain myself. entertain my mind. But at the same time, I'm a critical thinker. And I come across as someone who's very criticize people. Okay, for years I've been told, "Oh, you're so critical. You're so as if I'm negative." No, you cannot allow anything to bypass your mind. You have to take captive of everything, every account. Okay, because these are the same people who told you one thing. MalcolmX said, the liberals, okay, they'll sell you liquor at noon, and then in the evening at 6 p.m. they'll arrest you for drunkenness. You understand? Do you understand the concept? These are the same people who are providing these things to you, and then the next minute they're penalizing you when you utilize it. You see, privilege, and it's all about control. Okay?
Yes, so, it is about control.
It's about control. So at the end of the day, the same laws that they're telling you, okay, it's not applicable until they say it's applicable. Okay? It's not applicable until they say it's applicable. So I want us for us to think, all right? Nothing in this system is a natural progression. It's designed, and you have to be obedient to whatever master says. Okay? If it says your hair is not good today, your hair is not good today. Don't question it. That's what they want. Okay? So these analysis they've been telling you, you got to question it. Oh, black people are the minority. For years they've been telling you from the minority, you're a minority. But your vote is very important, but you're a minority. Which one is it? If I'm a minority, then I am no threat. You shouldn't sanction so much things against me if I'm a minority. Okay? If I'm a minority, if I'm a true minority, you should then give me the benefit, the things that would help me to help the economy overall. Do you understand, Jade?
Yeah, exactly.
If I am incapable of doing something, so me being incapable, and because I am a minority, right? It's like in your home. If you have 10 kids and your last child is not effective, doesn't listen, it doesn't affect the overall house. Why? Because he's a minority. He's just one child, and then you'll find a way. You pull up you get the majority to help your last child because he's weak, right? If he's not capable of supporting himself, the group will help the small child. You understand? So the power lies in majority, but the deception of this government is that we are the minority, but yet we pull so much, and our vote is so important. Okay? So there are levels to this deception that I want to address. Okay? There are levels, and I can address it. I don't want it to go over most people's heads, because most of the time it does. You sit there and you watch the news, and you get into the small details, the little problems. Oh, the race problems. Yes, the race is also a deception. Okay? Because white people are also suffering from these deception as well. The difference is that they've been beaten to submission where they know that they can't speak out too loud. Okay? And you, the one who have always fought against this system, they want to make you they want to sissify you so you can become like the white population. Okay? So you don't have voice. And the black voice is always the voice. Okay? Black people don't make culture. They don't move this culture in this country by mistake. So don't think that the black people are the minorities. That's an illusion. That's a deception. Okay? Because if you don't see this right now, it's obvious. This quote unquote the growth of the Spanish population is not a natural. It's not a natural progression. It's manufactured. Because they know that for years and years, what's around North America, the Spanish nations, the buffer classes that they created through slavery and colonialism.
And they also, if I might add, also understood, and their concern is through this census, that the whites weren't having enough kids to increase the white race.
Of course.
In order to offset the balance, because physically, in terms of population, there's more people of color. So it's like, now, wait a minute, now we're introducing more people of color, but it's different because the race is being treated differently than those that are already here, you know? So this buffer class, there's an agenda for why they're coming here and what they're going to be used for and the benefits, the privileges that they will have. So, you know, those days of, you know, yes, when the Haitians try to cross and come over, they're immediately sent back if their boat didn't capsize. If the Cubans try to come, if they're of the darker persuasion, and most of them are, they're returned back.
That's right.
And yes, Mexicans are not white-skinned people, but they're known to be all over. They make the majority of the population in Texas and California, and, you know, are thriving in different ways.
That's right.
You know, in their own industries. It doesn't have to necessarily be the babysitter. It doesn't necessarily have to be the cook or the clean. They have construction companies. They are construction workers. And if they're doing illegal work, there's also room for money there too. The cartels are making lots of money. Okay, and what? Aren't we big on marijuana now in this country? So it's like there's lots of room for more workers, so to speak. So there's an agenda, and it's forcefully advancing in this country. And the question is, why is it being permitted? And what is the purpose?
That's right.
And we know that there is a purpose. This is not just happening because if this is something that they didn't want, they would have came with the army tanks and trucks. Yes, the army presence is there, but they're not strong arming them out as you would think they would if it would be anyone else.
Right.
And like I said, we couldn't do this. We can't go through the floodgates and flee America to go to Canada. Canada is not going to give us free housing and benefits because we cried America has been horrible to blacks here. Do you think that they're going to just, you know, shower us with all the blessings? All the best of the best? Are we going to get a free house? Are we going to get food and medical benefits like the Canadians that have been working there for years? They're just going to give it to us immediately because we said we're struggling? Nobody gives blacks the immediate opportunity for anything in this country. I mean, you try to apply for a loan for anything, whether it's for school or for housing or even just a credit card. You in seconds you would be denied if you don't qualify for whatever that qualification means. Okay? And these people are getting cash in hand, not just cards, but cash.
Yeah.
You know?
Calm down, Jay. Calm down.
I mean, if you saw the money that was in their hands, it looked like they stole it from the bank.
I'm teasing you.
When I say cash, it was so big that you couldn't even put a rubber band around it. You couldn't even put a money clip on it. It was wads.
Yeah, I'm teasing you, Jade.
I should have taken a picture. I should have taken a picture. I should have put it on video so that you could see what I saw.
Yeah. You know, first of all, Jade, you say that it's possible that there could have been business. No. You know they were migrants. You know that they were
Yes,
illegal.
I knew they were.
You knew
Yes,
that they were
yes,
illegals, and everybody around
yes,
you also knew that, right?
yes, they did.
Because
Mm-hmm.
we have a cowardly system, a cowardly nation. America is full of cowards, man. The things that takes place is because of cowards. All right, it didn't take.
But the thing,
It only took a few people
but
to create civil war in this country. It wasn't a massive population. You know.
But you know what? If only I could read minds, because when I was there in the store, all the different types of Spanish that I heard from all over, whether it's from Cuba, from Venezuela, or Argentina, all the accents, because I've studied Spanish in school, so I'm able
Mm,
to understand some of what I've heard, not everything.
mm,
And it was just very interesting to hear the chatter. But then the most interesting thing that I saw, besides hearing the chatter, was the look on the faces of those who were Dominican and Puerto Rican on the line looking at the migrants.
mm,
And there was dead silence.
mm,
And there was just quiet of, they're here.
mm-hmm.
They're here. Now, if I could read their minds, I don't know what they would be saying. But I just know that if I was in their shoes, I would say, what is going on? Not just what you see. Again, remember we said when you don't realize how it impacts you until it's in your backyard. They're seeing it in their backyard. It's in our backyard.
Yeah, but
But
Jade,
what's next? But what's next?
I don't think that they are bothered because those are their Spanish brothers and sisters, and they know that if they got the money will eventually be funneled right back into their neighborhoods. You understand?
Um, yes, but they have, the way they're being processed is not the same, because we have this slow, what do you call a snail mail system, where you get this if you get that, and if you have this and if you don't, like, we have to go through a lot of loops to get everything, and if you mess up with one, it affects all the other benefits. These migrants that are coming in, it's like the group package. It's like the all-inclusive, all expense paid ticket immediately. So I don't know if they can just, be Puerto Rican and say, hey, I'm Spanish too, I need to get, if they weren't a migrant.
No, 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 no. That's not what I'm saying. Okay, this is what I'm saying. When these people come in, when they bring these illegal immigrants, again, they're illegal. All right, they're not here based on what the law says in the books. So
Mm-hmm.
when they come in here, they don't go into white neighborhoods. They go into black and Latino. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
This is how you replace black people. You understand?
Oh, okay. So you're saying so those
Yes.
communities are immediately enriched because they're going to continue
Yes.
to shower the benefits within the community as opposed to
Yes.
just the individuals, whatever they are personally getting.
They're not bringing these people and then putting them into white neighborhoods. They're putting them into black neighborhoods. So this way they
Mm-hmm.
can drown out the voices of black people, the melanated people. So this
Mm-hmm.
illusion for these slow Negroes in the in the back of the classroom. Remember, when they got you fooled and thinking that, oh, you have a coalition, the black and brown coalition, that's a deception. Okay? Because we know a lot of these Latinos, one minute they're black, next minute they're white. Next minute they don't want to do any they don't have nothing to, they don't want to have anything to do with you. Okay? So let's be honest. And this is why, Jade, I have to bring an Afro Latino into on this particular network. Because we need to have a voice because do you hear black Latinos? Do they have a voice in Latin America?
Um, we don't hear of it unless it comes up with the Black Lives Matter. And this
Yeah.
is kind of like the all-inclusive, all shades of brown and black marching
Yes.
together in harmony kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Exactly. Exactly. To keep you confused. All right. There is
Mm-hmm.
no coalition. There's black problems. There's Latinos problems. There's Asian problems. Let's keep it that way. Okay. If we merge every people together, and they still blame one particular population, black people, what do we have here? It's not a coalition. We have a system that keep oppressing us. Okay, keep deceiving the world. That's the system that America has. A system where it keeps oppressing the Muntu. We can't have it that way. We have to know it clearly. All right, the same way they didn't want to have the Asians come here, and that for me, they exposed themselves. This government exposed itself, and that was good.
Mm-hmm.
When that happened for me, I was like, yes, it hurt our brothers, our Haitian brothers and sisters, but I want you to understand, it was good because it exposed the criminal syndicate you call government. Okay, because these are crooks, demonic parasites. That's what you have. Okay, so the system is designed, family. This is nothing new. This concept, what they're doing as far as watering, you're trying to replace the black family. This is nothing new. Okay, when our ancestors were freed from quote unquote slavery. Okay, when they were freed, they concocted they came up with the idea of we need to have black people in the major cities. Okay, so when black people started to migrate to the cities, it was to look for work. So they got together with the slave master and they say, don't give these people work. Make them go to cities. Okay? So when we got into cities, this is the migration, mind you. This is the black migration from the south into these major cities. This way, they can have a little bit more control over you as a people. So they gave you these programs, and these programs were you'll be able to get your degree, and then you can go and work in the factories. Then it was factories. Okay? So when they oppressed you in the South where you were not able to work for yourself, when they didn't want, some people were successful. They were able to buy their freedom by working at the plantation. Some masters gave their slaves their plantations. They got to own, they got ownership. But the majority slaves went to the north, and the other one went to the west. The way they're going to the north or west. Okay, so it was a very, very strategic, calculated migration of a people. So you had black people going into major cities and working. So that was a new form of slavery when they removed you from the old form of slavery. Okay? And this new form of slavery is way more effective because the other one was very obvious. Remember the Willie Lynch letter, right? They had to, they said, don't beat them too much, right? So they changed, altered it. And they got you working into these quote unquote plantation, corporate America. But it's a process. And you, my friend, you were that first experiment of migrating people into these major cities. All right. So when black people started fighting for civil rights, when they gave you civil rights, they also, civil rights came about. Our people were fighting because some of our people went down to Haiti, right? They were doing the Haitian Revolution, right? They were going the black soldiers started going down to Haiti, and they realized, we got to be very, very careful. Okay, because black people had the agency. They can move easily, go here and go to another country. Go, if they wanted to go to Europe, they can go to Europe. You see what's happening? So this migration game, it's a strategic game that they play to keep control over you. So what did they have in place under the civil rights and under those bills? They also had a way for, okay, if you were not the civil rights bill, I'm talking about after the Emancipation Proclamation. Okay, under those bills, they had, well, okay, how can we control? Okay, first of all, they rewarded the slave master by giving them reparation. Okay, they say, okay, we're gonna reward you, but then in the bill, we're gonna put the 13th Amendment. In the 13th Amendment, they had a system where, okay, if a black person does not comply, if they get arrested, if they're being, if they trying to turn into, if they go against the system and rebel, we have to have a way to put them back into slavery. They came about. This is how the jail came about. The prisons came about. Okay, so they always have a way. They always have a way to oppress you, and everything. Majority of the laws on the book is not for the rest of the world, for the other ethnic groups. It's exclusively for black people, because these are the people that fought against them. And this is the history they don't want you to know. They fought against these people. There was bloodshed. So don't think this freedom, quote unquote, freedom came about. Abraham Lincoln utilized the law and say, you know what, a few slaves decide to fight with the ones in the South, right? If you decide, was it the one in the South or the North? I believe the ones was it the one in the North? I believe the slaves in the North, right?
The North and South fought.
Yeah, but the majority of the slaves fought, I think, with the North against the Southerners to doing the Civil War, and Abraham Lincoln promised black people that they will get the freedoms, right? But it wasn't that. It wasn't that promise. It's a deception. It was already the plantations were having already a hard time maintaining the slaves, because the slaves were already there were so many rebellions that were taking place. So they used that little fake history to deceive people to think, oh, Abraham Lincoln, out of the kindness of his heart, he allowed these people to have freedom. It's a deception. Like so many other deceptions, So family, we have to understand that these quote unquote class, this migration system, which is also class, right? This class system, this system overall is designed where the top, the 20%. Okay, the elite, the 1%ers, those who have who are holding resources, they want their little babies and children to be. They need a service industry that's going to be catering to them, so they have this robot thing perfected. Okay, because right now they don't have. This is one of the reasons. They're going to keep oppressing it, because it's all about classism. It's all about classism. We need to have a working class that's not rebellious. And a lot of our people, they don't want to get paid the wages that are being paid today. Most people, they return back to their jobs. So guess what? They've always known this day was going to come. This is why they were telling you in 2050 the population is going to change. Did you hear what this guy said? Biden told the Black Caucus, he says you now have to start working with the Latinos. Remember that?
Um, personally, I don't, because
Yes.
I don't know.
Yeah, he told them that. He told them that during an interview on the Breakfast Club when he was being interviewed. And he was being he said you're gonna have to learn to work with the Latino demographic. So these people are very, very strategic, very, very strategic. So I hope you guys see it. So the next question, Jade, and I'll yield over to you. The next question is, why is the government breaking the immigration laws? You answered you partly answered you gave an answer partly, right? You give that Title 42, So let's go into that a little bit more, and so we can further
Okay.
re-emphasize.
Well, I'm not going to use any references because I'm just going to share my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Um, breaking laws. I mean, they're the ones who are making the rules and breaking them and making amendments anyway. So if these so-called laws and amendments, I mean, it's enough to make your head spin, because what contracts and agendas are being pushed on the side in the midst of a crisis. Because remember, this so-called, some people like to call it plandemic. While
Mm-hmm.
we're focusing on the so-called plandemic, the migrants are pushing in, and they're
Mm-hmm.
coming in, and it has this emergent need of, oh my God, they're taking advantage of us at a time where we ourselves haven't really economically bounced back. Yes, the economy is boosting up again. And yes, there was a major shortfall in terms of employment. But that change and that shift happened because Americans were being tired of being overworked and underpaid. And because of the buffer class system, where the classes that are used to being served, used to having people cater to their needs, love being pampered, the nails and the hair, and you know cut my lawn, and you know um build my condos. They want more of those toys, more of those, their privileges. They want their comforts, and it's
Mm-hmm.
uncomfortable when their Walmart chains and their Target chains and their Dwayne Reed chains are understaffed. It's like, what? You don't want to work at Dwayne Reed anymore? How come? You don't want to work at Kroger's anymore? I mean, you get some free groceries, right? And people who work at Kroger say, no, we never got free groceries. We buy our own.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, why? I mean, you have a job, you should be grateful. But it doesn't make sense to Americans when you work twice as hard for an income that still doesn't meet your rent
Mm-hmm.
and pay and put food on the table. And because we mentioned something about benefits, if you make too much, you don't get benefits. If you make too little, you can get benefits, but you have to prove everything. It's like they nickel and dime you, and you're under the microscope for every single dime that you have anywhere before they can say, yes, you American citizen, you can get some benefits. And then you have the floodgates come, and it's like, oh, migrant? Oh, a different kind of slavery. Um, yes, come. Yes, my lawns are they didn't say it that way, but we know that's what's gonna happen. They're gonna work in the hotels, they're gonna work and they're gonna cut grass, they're gonna build, do construction work, which is a valuable trade, you know. It's a lucrative trade, and yes, they are hard workers. Yes, they are. devoted, loving, and unified families. However, the placement, strategic placement of having them come is strictly to serve and cater for the comfort of the privileged. So breaking laws, the the way the rich people, what we call the 10 percenters, I don't even know what the percentage anymore of the rich,
The one
they're
percenter.
used to.
The
They're
1%.
one, it feels like 10. It feels like 10, because everywhere you go, those are sipping lattes,
Mm,
in flip-flops. They're just so comfortable. And
mm,
while the rest of us are not. And, the haves and have-nots are used to having the structure so that they're being served, that they have to. And people who have had enough of the nonsense are now, and, kudos to those who are breaking free from the system, are starting their own businesses, are waking up, are realizing, hey, I don't have to work and be an employee and a slave to a system. It's time that I start investing some time into my family, that I start putting away my money and perhaps starting my own business, and just learning how to use our time and our money wisely. And of course, develop new skills that we can use and work towards our benefit. When I say our, meaning your family or your community. And this is where we are about family. I know Silverback has really, he's like furious. I am too, but I'm also about looking at where do we go from here? Okay.
mm,
Some of us are waking up. Some of us have been tuning out. Like maybe it doesn't affect me. I have a well-paid job. I don't rely on migrants, and what they do is their business, and I have my business and they mind theirs, and whatever. I don't get benefits, so maybe they're just jealous. Maybe they should work harder, which is another argument that you will hear from people, that they think all blacks are on benefits, which is not true.
mm,
But regardless, the agenda is not just about the resources. Yes, they're getting the resources, but the structure, it was unraveling.
mm,
It's the pyramid structure is
mm,
unraveling. How can
mm,
you have a king with no subjects?
mm,
How can you have leadership? How can you have chain stores with
mm,
people not showing up? And you know it. Go to Dwayne Reed today and
mm,
see how many people are at the register.
mm.
You'll see two.
That's
And
right.
the line is wrapping around. The same thing in the supermarkets. You'll see
Mm,
three. And it's like, wow, people are tired. They're giving up, they're trading, and they're throwing in the towel and saying, I'm fed up with this.
that's right.
And if you don't believe me, okay, I'm gonna give this in a different perspective for those who don't understand what little money is. And I'm saying if you're rich, this is like ridiculous, okay? But if you're poor, understand this concept in plain terms. You're online, and in your hand is a bottle of shampoo.
Mm,
The shampoo is, a name brand item. This is not a little, no name brand. So let's say the shampoo is $20. You go to the register to pay for that item. Guess what? That item, that shampoo item, costs more than one whole hour labor of the person who is bringing you up.
that's where we're
If
heading.
if they make minimum wage
Mm,
$15,
mm,
if they're lucky to get that much, you they've worked a whole hour and just earned $15. But that one item is $19.
mm.
So what does that say in terms of valuing people and their life and their labor? If an item is worth more than a human's effort and time, that one bottle, I mean, So what would it be? And my point is, why couldn't they get $20 an hour? They just purchased one bottle for
Mm-hmm.
$20.
Mm-hmm.
So the store technically could afford to pay $20 an hour because they have items that are up $20 or more. They
That's right.
can afford to pay more, but the system is structured to keep us poor,
Mm-hmm.
so we have to work more
Mm-hmm.
and we
Rely.
still get nowhere.
You
And
have
we
to.
still get nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
And the immigrants are coming, and they're not going to have the student loan debts that we do. They're not going to come in with mortgages because they got free housing. They didn't have to apply like let's make this real. Low income housing lottery. They didn't have to put their name on a list and wait decades to get an apartment like the blacks. They didn't have to bear their whole life savings and stories and and get fingerprinted and doing all this stuff just to get a food card.
Well, just to get to
The
America.
immigrants, you get to America to get the so-called free benefits,
Mm-hmm.
and the migrants are getting it all. Why? Because they serve a purpose, because they're servants, and they're here to serve them for their purpose.
Yeah.
And yes, they will work, and they will be doing it with a smile. And when it comes time to vote, do you think it's going to be like hard to get them to say thank you by voting? No, they're going to cast their votes with the biggest smile because they got here and America promised, gave them everything they ever wanted and more compared to where they were coming from.
Well, first of
So it's like
all,
bribery.
well,
It's like
well,
bribery.
well, it's beyond bribery. It's beyond bribery, right? Because let's reason, family. These people, they don't know the ins and outs of the system. They don't know the culture. They don't know nothing about this system. So how are you gonna get someone from outside to just come into your? It's like, excuse me. It's like me inviting you into my house, and you have know nothing about the way the house is. Okay, and then you come into the house and you're gonna start making demands, right? It's like I'm inviting you into my house. You say, okay, yeah, I wanna have this and that for breakfast, and I also want. Can you help me find a job at the same time? And also, I want you to give. I mean, it makes no sense.
No, no. And as a matter of fact, right before they were shipped here in the millions, I'm going to say millions around the US, the homeless were displaced from the hotels,
Yes, that
displaced from the shelters.
this is just common
And during the
sense.
during and after the pandemic, the homeless have no and again, the migrants got them immediately, and the homeless here are still homeless.
Yeah,
And the people in Skid, the Americans
in
that are on
California.
Skid Row right now in California. Did I say America? Yes, America. Okay. California are on the thousands and thousands of people in Skid Row are not even getting shelter, but the migrants are crossing over immediately. What do we need to do? Go to Mexico and pretend to be Mexican and come back and get better benefits? I don't know. Maybe we should do that. I don't know. I'm just being sarcastic. We
Yeah,
were born here and we're not being treated with the same kind of level of love and respect, so-called love. It's because these people are being brought over to basically kiss butt.
yeah. This
That's
to displace the black vote. Now,
and displace butt.
so here now this is the question: why is the government breaking the immigration law? Like Jade said earlier, the system is crumbling. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
the 2020 was a time that exposed the entire system, the whole entire scam, the whole entire American corporation. Okay? It exposed this nation. And how did it expose this nation? They realized this, if 2020 didn't come about, that quote unquote fake statistics that they used to use, by 2050 the population is going to change based on sociology. That's what they're telling us. It was a scam. It's not a natural progression. They went to Afghanistan. They brought a group of white Afghanistan to America. Mexicans, they allowed the Mexicans to come. The Mexicans were given the rights to get into California in the 90s. The black population in California is null and void. It's no longer. You see? And then when they bring these migrants from these other nations, the Ukrainians were brought to America this year.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right? And they were given funding.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? So all of these ethnic groups are being empowered. They're being weaponized against the melanated, the black people. It's not hard. It's not hard to see what's happening, family. It's not hard. So the quote unquote minorities, they've been fighting minorities for many, many years now. Okay, so I told you there are layers to this scam, okay? They're attacking our kids in school. The kids need to learn about homosexuality. These are layers. So yes, they want to empower, they want to bring in another class of people to what? To keep black people silent.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? They're shooting our people in the streets. We have to speak these things out and take account of all forms of oppression. Okay? Because Pharaoh, as it was in the days of Egypt, and so it shall be today. They're not going to let you overtake them. And the days of Pharaoh, the Hebrew were multiplying fast.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? In France, the population is watering down. European is decreasing in numbers. So let's not get deceived. Let's not fall asleep. There are layers upon layers of oppression. And it's all along with all other ethnic groups. Other races, quote unquote races, I call them ethnic groups. Because there's only two races, there's only black and white. That's it. Okay? These are the buffer classes, these mulattoes, mixed people, they don't count. They're either gonna go where the father is. If the father is white, they're gonna go with the white father. If the father is black, they will go with the black father. Okay? This is the agenda. This is what's taking place today. Your government have shown you. If you haven't already seen, if you don't see it, there is no law. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So
yes,
I want to give a scripture. Okay, and the scripture. I'm going to read a scripture. I don't have to. I'll read it for you guys. Is Matthew's chapter 22, I'm going to read verses 15 to 22. Okay? So we can grasp what's taking place. Then the Pharisees, verses 15. Then the Pharisees went out and laid plans to trap him in his words. They sent their disciples to him along with the Herodians Herodians. Herod's people. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Teacher, they said, we know that you are a man of integrity and that you teach the way of Baba Mungu in accordance with the truth. You aren't swayed by others because you pay no attention to who they are. Tell us then, what is your opinion? Is it right to pay the imperial tax to Caesar or not? That was a trick. You see that? You hear that, Jade? I know you just got all right. I'm gonna read it again.
Signal was dropping. Yeah.
I know you got dropped. Yeah. Did you hear anything I said, or should I read it again?
Yes, I heard. No. I heard it. I'm sure our listeners have heard it. It's just my signal that was getting weak.
Yes. So verse 17 says, "Tell us then, what is your opinion? Is it right to pay the imperial tax to Caesar or not?" Verses 18, but Yissayahkongo said, knowing their evil intent, said, "You hypocrites, why are you trying to trap me? Show me the coin used for paying the tax." They brought him a denarius, and he asked them, "Whose image is this? And whose inscription?" "Caesar's," they replied. Then he said to them, "So give back to Caesar what is Caesar's, and to Baba Mungu what is Baba Mungu's." When they heard this, they were amazed, so they left him and went away. What do you get from this scripture, Jade? What is Isaiah telling them?
In terms of giving to Caesar what is Caesar's.
Mm-hmm.
Well, tying this scripture to what we've just discussed is a little bit challenging for me. I need some time to think about it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, in terms of the money,
mm-hmm.
and how America wants to be the center of the universe, and it's the rescuer, it's the knight in shining armor, it's that cowboy on the hill
Mm-hmm.
with the horse.
Mm-hmm.
It wants to be that American eagle standing on the cliff with a flag in its mouth. It wants to be its so-called savior. But when it comes to money, in order for them to remain relevant, to maintain power and the power of the purse, it can only have value if you have people to oppress.
Mm-hmm.
And people who are unsubscribing, people who are not buying the lies anymore, the so-called fake American dreams that they sold to us, like go to school, get a job, and what? Nobody has that house and white picket fence. And if you had it, especially with the pandemic, you're close to foreclosure. People's values, if you don't have, if you're not privileged, you can't ride the waves of these anomalies, these conditions that keep popping up every year, whether it's pandemic, whether it's so-called global warming. It's people are not able to maintain their status. Even if you were a good American, even if you have a college degree, there's things coming at us in such a way that undermines the middle and lower class. So when it comes to maintaining power and the power of the purse, this is for the benefit of the rich. To stay powerful, you have to have people to oppress. And so our article of the Great Replacements is to maintain oppression, but the illusion of grace. Come and I'll give you everything you ever wanted. Like Satan did. When Satan said to Jesus on the hill, he said to him, bow down before me and I'll give you all this. America is saying, come to us and we'll give you all you ever wanted. And they're coming in the droves. But those who are starting to wake up see, we are tired of the lies, the propaganda for these so-called promises. What promises? A loan? A loan is a promise? Yes, it's a promise. And they've been so generous to give these loans with high APR interest rates. Yes. We got free benefits. Yes, free. All of our benefits we have to pay back, by the way. And when you die, anything you have in the bank goes back to the government. So there's nothing free for us.
That's right.
Nothing is free for us. Even our time, your essence, your life is coming, everything is coming at a cost. But they're coming in and there's a practically red carpet treatment. They're getting shipped on buses. Some of them probably never ever been on a plane before. And they're traveling all over the world. And as soon as they get there, now they're huffing and puffing about things not coming fast enough for them. How they want to work, but we're not processing their papers fast enough. And then some. But again, that is to maintain the structure so that they can remain relevant and powerful. Give to Caesar what is Caesar. They have so much already. But again, they can't enjoy it without oppressing someone.
That's right.
They
Yes, Jade.
can't. They can't. This is a game for them and they love it. They absolutely love it.
Yes, my sister.
And they love being served. They just love it. They can't go to a hotel and what? There's no one to serve them. There's no one to make their beds and fold down their sheets and bow on the way out and bow on the way in and kind of wait and hesitant, for a tip. It's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. But you know what? God sees it all.
Yes.
God is aware of the haughtiness. And as a matter of fact, if you don't agree with me, read the Bible. God opposes the proud. Okay? So whether you are rich or not, whether you're white or not, understand this. God opposes the proud. And there is going to be justice on earth and in heaven by our Heavenly Father. So for those who are dismayed and frustrated by the system and are awake and see this great migration, this great replacement, understand, although the world is going amok, God sees it all. And there is going to be justice.
That's right.
So we have to focus on the positives now and understand that this is the structure of man. And this is what happens when people who are greedy and people who are not lovers of Baba Mungu, people who are the children of Satan, Satan, this is how they operate.
That's right.
It's going to come to an end. It's going to come to an end.
Jade, you've answered 1000% correct. And I'm going to add to what you've said. You see, family, he says in verses 16, they said, teacher, they said, we know that you are a man of integrity and that you teach the way of Baba Mungu in accordance with the truth. You aren't swayed by others because you pay no attention to who they are. So basically, these demons, these evildoers, they knew that he speaks truth, all right, and that he's upright, and they know that they're no good. You see, Jade? You see? They know right from wrong. They know this, but they choose to do evil. How do we know? Because in verses 18, Yissayahkongo says, I know their evil intent. You hypocrites, why are you trying to trap me? And he says, show me that coin. Show me this thing that they're talking about. Imperial tax, right? And he says, okay. And now when Jesus looks at the coin, he tells them, who does this belong to? Which system does this coin belong to? Because a coin belongs to a system. Okay? And within that system you're gonna give to a system that needs to support you. You're gonna support what supports you, family. Okay? It's like me taking seed. And if I throw the seed to the soil and the soil grows that seed and gives me fruit, I am supporting the soil. And the soil in return supports me. But if I put chemicals in the soil is not going to grow the seed. Do you see what I'm saying, Jade? Right? So in the system that you're in, if you're paying taxes, family, if you're paying taxes, I want to be clear. You should get something in return. You understand what I'm saying, right? So if you're paying taxes, you should not pay again to get your taxes. You should keep paying. It's like you're paying taxes, and then when you claim your taxes, you're still paying more.
Yeah.
To get back whatever. Do you see what I'm saying? That is one. That is one. But overall, family, it's a system. It's a system. So Isaiah goes and tells them, well, you give to the system what belongs to the system. You give to the system what belongs to the system. If this coin belongs to that system, give it to that system. That's Caesar's. Okay? Now, and you should also give to what belongs to Baba Mungu. And those people, they were evildoers because they belonged to Baba Mungu's system. But they was trying to use the wicked system to entrap Isaiah, which we know everything belongs to Baba Mungu anyway. So Baba Mungu comes first. Okay? So in this system that you're living in, family, the system that you're living in is a system that belongs to Baba Mungu. And when they lie to you, you better believe me that they're going to be exposed, and they're going to be exposed the worst way. But my warning to you, family, is if you want to participate in that system, you better be righteous. You better be righteous. Because those who are unrighteous, those who belong to Baba Mungu, if you belong to Baba Mungu, and you participate in the wicked system, your punishment will be more severe than theirs. Because they're already condemned. Okay? There's no reformation for them. You can't reform a devil. A devil is a devil. Okay? So punishment is really for those who belong to Tata Nzambe. If you belong to Baba Mungu, I'm warning you right now. I'm warning the teachers, the lawyers, the kings and the queens, those who claim authority in this space, in this dimension. You are being warned right now. You can play these games with the people, but you're going to suffer the most. Okay? Punishment will be unto you, not them. They're already wicked. Okay? So the lesson here, family, is this. These wicked entities you call government, their system, as Sister Jade just said, is coming down. It's breaking down quickly. So in order for them to keep deceiving people, they're bringing in another class of people to continue the same deception. But the warning here is for you to wake up and see what they've been doing to you all along. If you continue to participate in a system that's not going to reward you. Okay? Give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar. If you belong to Tatanzambe, you better. I'm not going to tell you what to do, but in my humble opinion, why participate? Why the hell are you paying taxes? Why? Why are you going to vote? Why are you participating in a system that's not giving you what is yours? They're taking people who don't belong in a system and they're telling you in front of your face that this is what they're going to do. These are gangsters. I mean, Jade, I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm a person, listen, it's not worth living if you can't fight for your freedom.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm trying to say. At the end of the day, you decide. And me, I make listen, they come after me, I deal with them. Because as far as I'm concerned, I can only see bloodshed coming. Oh, and I'm talking not only in America, I'm talking worldwide. Okay? Baba Mungu is drawing a line in the sand. The children of the Father are going to go over here, and the children of Shetani are going to go over here. There's going to be bloodshed, and this has nothing to do with color. Okay?
Okay. Well, I think we've reached that mark of in our
Yeah.
Narrowcast. We're like 2 hours in, 2 hours, a little excess of that.
Yeah.
Just personally want to say thank you, listeners, for joining us in our Narrowcast today.
Mm-hmm.
We hope that our Narrowcast is at least helping to adjust your eyes in terms of understanding that the injustice in this country and abroad is very widespread, and it's oppressive. And fortunately, things that appear to be free comes at a cost.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully sooner than later that the migrants will come to realize what is actually happening. They're coming in thinking they're getting a lot of wonderful benefits, but they haven't and seen and been oppressed in the ways that we have. And they probably won't feel that same type of burden, but they will come to realize that they really are going to be another subclass, subservient, cater to the wills of those who've set the system in place to begin with, because our structure is pyramid,
Mm-hmm.
and there has to be a caste system, and they are replacing being bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, ready to work
Mm-hmm.
because of the gaps of unemployment, the gaps of employment in their businesses where people have and say, I do not want to work under these conditions for people who are oppressive, people who are racist, people who um, don't value my life, and of course, will never ever consider themselves to be equal because we are human beings. We're not animals, but
Yeah.
we are treated less than a horse. So, family, we thank you so much for joining us in this Narrowcast. I know at times the topics we choose can be very harsh to discuss, to listen to even digest.
Mm-hmm.
But by and large, what we live and face is not a fairy tale. We all have some kind of level of discomfort, of challenges, oppression, racism that we faced and we continue to face. But how we deal with it, how we um, train our mindset to be like that, we weren't born. God didn't tattoo minority on our forehead. That
Mm-hmm.
name and that term was given to us here in this country, but we are God's children. Okay? We have to know our worth and know who we're from and reclaim our place.
Mm-hmm.
amongst the oppressors. And understand where you even put your money speaks volumes. You don't
Mm-hmm.
have to buy into this so-called dream, their dream. You don't have to have the $1,000 cell phone. You don't have to have the $100 sneakers. You don't
Mm-hmm.
have to buy the $1,000 purses and perfumes.
Mm-hmm.
Invest in yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Invest in your children. Invest in your future. And understand that's more of value than what you're giving away to those who don't respect you
Mm-hmm.
at all. All they want is your money
Mm-hmm.
and your life.
That's right.
You don't have to give them either.
Mm-hmm.
You don't. So
Yeah.
reclaim your power, reclaim your dignity, and understand that if you serve the Lord and you uphold Him, because He is our true master,
Mm-hmm.
not them. If you uphold Him, He will lift you up. But do not sell yourself and your soul to the devil.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening.
Excellent. Excellent, Jade. Excellent. Well, excellent. You just answered the last question, Jade. That was the last question. What should Black people do about this issue? She answered it correctly, family. You know, and what I'm going to add to that is you definitely need to create systems that employs your people, right, and reinforces your culture, your standards, right, your because as you can see, family, there is no law. There is no law. They're gonna do whatever they want to do. Our job is for us to create our own system. It means you grow your own food. It means that you employed your own people. Okay, it means that you're working for the betterment of a collective class, a Black class. Okay, whether here in America or in South America or in a continent or in Europe, wherever you are, where there is a Black population, you're working for that collective. Excuse me. Okay, you're working for the betterment of your people. Because if you don't work for the betterment of your people, the default is going to be the other groups, the oppressor. Okay? So thank you, family. Thank you for listening to this message. We hope that you got something from this. Please subscribe, like, and share, okay, for those with other melanated people, right? May Baba Mungu bless you. May the light of the Creator be upon you. Be your brother's keeper. Be your sister's keeper. Be a father and mother to your community. Love your kind and love righteousness overall. Okay? Thank you, family. And with that, I say good night, good night, good night. My sister Jade is actually having a technical problem, so we can't hear her right now. Jade, you still there? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? I guess not. So, family, I say on behalf of Phoenix Rising, I say good night. Good night to all of you.